My name is Judge Frank Caprio, and after so many years behind the bench, you'd think very little could surprise me anymore. But every now and then a case comes along that reminds me justice isn't about rules written on paper, it's about people and the stories they carry. This is one of those stories. It was a gray Thursday morning, the kind where the sky looks heavy, the streets look tired, and people walk a little slower. My courtroom was already full. Workers rushing before shifts, parents trying to calm children, elderly folks leaning on canes, all waiting patiently for their turn. I was going through the docket quickly. Expired meters, parking in prohibited zones, failure to appear. Nothing unusual. Then the clerk handed me a file with a small note attached. "Judge, please handle with care." I raised an eyebrow. "Who's next?" I asked. "Case of Sarah Delgado," the clerk announced. The room shifted. People glanced toward the benches. Slowly, a woman stood, maybe in her early 40s, wearing a plain gray sweater and carrying a purse that looked like it had been repaired many times. But what caught my eye wasn't her, it was the little girl walking beside her. A girl no older than 12, wearing a bright yellow backpack covered in hand-drawn stars. The kind of backpack children customize when they don't have the money to buy new ones. They stepped forward. The mother held her daughter's shoulder gently, as though she were afraid the world might snatch the child away. "Good morning, Your Honor," the mother replied. The girl whispered a quiet, "Hi." I smiled. "Hello there. What's your name?" "Leela," she said, hugging the strap of her yellow backpack. "Well, Leela, I'm glad you're here supporting your mom today." She nodded, though she didn't smile. Her eyes looked tired, the kind of tired I've seen in adults, not children. I looked down at the file. "Ms. Delgado, you have 4 parking violations, failure to appear, and overdue fines totaling $780. A few people in the courtroom murmured, "That's a heavy amount." And according to this, all the tickets were received near the same school zone. The mother's hands tightened around her purse. "Yes, Your Honor." "All right," I said gently. "Why don't you tell me what happened?" She let out a long breath, the kind someone holds in for weeks before finally releasing. "My daughter's school is on Brookside Avenue. There's no parking on that street during certain hours, but I really didn't have a choice." "Why not?" I asked, leaning forward. She glanced at her daughter, then back at me. "Leela has type 1 diabetes. Her blood sugar can drop very fast, sometimes dangerously fast." The courtroom grew quiet. "I work 2 jobs, and I can't afford the school's bus service. So every morning and every afternoon, I have to pick her up myself. The closer I park, the faster I can get to her if something happens." She swallowed hard. "One day, her blood sugar crashed suddenly. The school called me. I ran from where I parked, 2 blocks away, because I didn't want another ticket, but by the time I got there, she was already unconscious." I looked at the girl. She stared at her shoes. "I held her in my arms," the mother said, voice shaking. "I thought I was losing her. After that day, I stopped parking far away. I started parking as close as I could. I couldn't risk it happening again." Her eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back quickly, embarrassed. "That's when the tickets started," she continued. "Every day I came home and found another one on the windshield, but I kept doing it because, well, I'd rather owe the city money than bury my daughter." A ripple of emotion moved through the courtroom. Even the officers standing near the back shifted uncomfortably, realizing this wasn't the typical "I didn't see the sign" excuse. I turned gently to the girl. "Leela, sweetie, how are you feeling now?" She shrugged a little. "I'm okay, Your Honor. I get scared sometimes." "What scares you?" I asked softly. She touched her yellow backpack. "When my sugar drops, it feels like the world gets darker and smaller, like I'm sinking. Mom always comes fast. She never lets me sink. Her mother lowered her head, overwhelmed. Your mom loves you very much, I said. I know, she whispered. I turned back to the mother and spoke clearly. Ms. Delgado, I have something to say to you. She braced herself. You are a mother who has done everything she can possibly do to protect her child. You worked long hours. You risked fines. You risked your job. You risked everything, simply to make sure your daughter stayed alive. Tears streamed down her face now, and she didn't bother wiping them. You are not a criminal, I continued. You're a parent caught between impossible choices. I looked at the girl. And Leela, you're very brave. This yellow backpack of yours, it looks like a superhero's backpack. She blinked in surprise. A superhero? Yes, I said, because superheroes are just people who face fear and keep going. She rested her cheek against her mom's arm. I turned back to the mother and spoke clearly. I am going to dismiss all 4 tickets. Gasps sounded through the courtroom. And the fines, I added, will be reduced to $0. The girl's head snapped up. Really? Yes, I said with a smile. Really? Her mother covered her mouth with her hands, shaking. Your Honor, I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to, I said softly. Just keep protecting your daughter. That's the most important job you'll ever have. The girl suddenly spoke up. Judge? Yes, Leela? She unzipped her yellow backpack slowly, reached inside, and pulled out a small sticker, a star she had drawn herself. I want you to have this. The courtroom melted. She held it out shyly. You said I was brave. I want to give you a brave star. I leaned forward and took it gently. I'll treasure it. She smiled, a small, fragile smile, but a real one. As they walked out of the courtroom, hand in hand, I couldn't help but think, sometimes justice is a fine. Sometimes it's a warning. But sometimes justice is simply remembering that behind every case number is a human being struggling to survive, a mother doing her best, a child trying to be brave, a family holding each other through storms most people never see. And on that gray Thursday morning, that girl with the yellow backpack reminded us all of something important. Compassion is not a weakness. It is the most powerful form of justice we have.